Hi, I'm Max Spainhour.
And I'm Troy McCormick. Welcome to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. Welcome to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. Today we're in Parke County, Indiana. We're learning all about sugar maple trees and the sap that they produce. We're going to be going to the Sugar Maple Festival, the 50th annual Sugar Maple Festival here today. But we're starting out at the Foxworthy Sugar Camp to learn about how they tap and actually collect and make the sugar maple syrup. So we're going to find out a little bit about how to collect it. Wow, this evaporator behind me is getting really hot. This is one of the few remaining wood-burning evaporators that's used to steam off the excess water that they get from the sap. And joining us today, Kevin from the Foxworthy Sugar Camp is going to walk us through a little bit about how they make their own sugar maple syrup.
My grandpa moved down here in 1950, bought the farm, and it was a couple years after they lived here he decided he would try this. The facility was already here. In 52, in 51 he did it for himself, decided he could do it. In 52 they done it on a little bigger scale. And I'm not sure what year the Maple Fair event started, but 5 of them in the county here put it on for years. And his oldest son took over and went in-house with him, and then his oldest son went in with him. And we had a schoolhouse fire and everybody wanted to quit. I decided I would try it, and here we are. We're 5 years into it, and still going to go, I guess. So.
Now, did you help out as a kid?
Oh yeah, I grew up.
Everybody in the family have to help out?
Yep, started out just like this. So mud be so deep, Grandpa carried me back up to the house at night.
Well, tell me a little bit about the process. I mean, what all is involved in making maple syrup?
A lot of hard work, a lot of leg work. Walk out, got to tap every tree, go put a bucket on every one, the lid. Then we wait on it to thaw out, and then we go collect all the sap. We'll hit them, oh, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 times we'll get the same tree. Takes a lot of young boys. They'll go out and get it, 2 5-gallon buckets at a time, put it in a hauling tank, bring it back up here at the house.
We're in the heart of sugar maple country here, where they're tapping the maple trees to get the syrup. Now there's general guidelines. They like to have about a 14-inch diameter tree, a tree that's growing, and it's in the process of growing, because then you have a lot of this sap that's moving up and down the tree. Your spile, or the spigot that they tap into the tree, only goes in about 1.5 inches, because all your cambium layer, or the outer rings of the tree is the growing part of the tree, and that's where these nutrients and the sugar water is flowing in. So you'll notice the buckets hanging on the trees behind me. Once they've inserted the spile into the tree at a little bit of an angle, the sap will immediately begin to flow once the temperature warms up above 32, more closer to 40 degrees, and it'll drip out into the buckets. At that point, they have to come around, either on a tractor or four-wheeler, empty the buckets into larger collection buckets, and take them back to the sugar shack where they can boil down the sugar water, and the process of making maple syrup kicks into high gear with a lot of heat. What do you do with it when you get it in here? What are we seeing here in the background?
We're evaporating. Keep feeding the fire with wood. About every 10 minutes or so, we're filling the firebox up. We're evaporating around 300 gallons an hour, and it takes about 70 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup.
Now, there's no real kind of secret recipe or anything, or do you consider still using the burning the wood and this type of evaporation? Does it add a little something different to the flavor or make it special?
Some people say it does, but I'm sure that there's people that say that it tastes bad too when they go get something cooked off of fuel oil, so I don't know. Some years we'll peak out and some years we'll bottom. We made 16 gallon one year, so years and years ago. We had one run and that was it. And in one year we'd made up almost 600 gallon. We were out of wood out of containers, and boys, we were all tired, so we quit. An average year is about 300 gallons.
Tell me about these cookies. How long you been making them? What's
We've been making these cookies since I've been 19 years old, and I'll be 69 in April. And we sell dozens and dozens of them every year at the Maple Fair. And at the Covered Bridge Festival, people like to buy them also. And they come here expecting maple syrup cookies and sassafras tea and peanut brittle and anything else we got to sell. We have no problem getting rid of our maple syrup cookies.
Well, what's the secret? Maple syrup?
Well, of course.
And whose recipe is it?
It's Mary and Archie Foxworthy's. Mary and I'm their daughter, the only daughter. My son took over the business, Kevin Wayne Smith. Everybody has to work together or we can't keep this business going.
How many cookies you make a year?
How many have you made this year, girl?
I've probably made 100 dozen at least.
About 100 dozen.
Wait. Say it again, how many?
I've probably made about 100 dozen at least this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what all do you sell in the store?
Maple syrup. We got sassafras roots.
How about cookies?
Cookbooks, poems, Daddy's CDs, Worry's poems, but they're not selling like they used to when he was 11.
Yeah.
He was the top notch when he was 11. People come to see my dad. Daddy would always be barefooted and wear his bib overalls and cut up and tell stories and tales. You wouldn't believe my dad.
Now, what makes you want to keep doing this? Is it keeping the heritage alive? You're probably not paying off the kids' college funds with this. But what makes you keep doing it every year?
I suppose because we have every year. I mean, it's just a way of life that you're sitting around the house in wintertime and you're itching to get out, and this is the first thing in sign of spring. So, and once you do it, you get to liking it. And I don't know if I'd want to quit it or not. So, you always growl and bellyache for everything, trying to get ready to go. But once you're doing it, it's good. Yeah. So.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Indiana Outdoor Adventures. Blastmasters of Indianapolis, Indiana is your source for custom stone sandblasting. We etch limestone markers for gardens and home landscaping projects to pet memorial stones and address markers. We offer brick pavers for fundraising projects and large monument stones for memorials and parks. Contact us today for your custom sandblasted Indiana limestone markers and memorial projects. Cave Country Canoes, located in the heart of Indiana's Cave Country, offers a variety of canoe rental trips from half-day outings for beginners to two-day adventures for the more experienced enthusiast. Our canoe trips follow the gently meandering Blue River through the wooded hills of southern Indiana. Abundant wildlife and great fishing opportunities abound. Go to cavecountrycanoes.com for more information about our canoe and kayak trips. Your next adventure is just a paddle away.
Lawrence County is an unexpected destination found in the heart of southern Indiana rolling hills, offering recreational landscapes, a rich limestone heritage, and unique outdoor experiences. This area is limestone country, well known for limestone quarries and stone carving heritage. It's also the home of Spring Mill State Park, geocaches, the scenic East Fork of the White River, and underground caverns. Plan your adventure at limestonecountry.com or call 800-798-0769. Life Essentials in Brookston, Indiana provides the products you need to become more independent. Products like our Journeyman wheelchair provide all-terrain access for the hunter and all-around outdoorsman. Every year, thousands of people are born with or acquire disabilities. Whether your special needs are for residential, commercial, agricultural, or just enjoying the outdoors once again, we customize our lifts and mobility products to fit your needs. We're raising you to new heights. Call today and we'll work with you to take back your life. Well, we're over at the Williams and Teague Sugar Camp.
Right.
And Todd, you're going to tell us a little bit about your operation and what you do to make maple syrup.
Okay.
Where does it start other than in the sugar maple tree? Tell me how you get it out of the tree and get it in here and what you do with it once it's here.
About 5-6 years ago, we switched to all tubing, plastic tubing. That's where you run plastic tubing to all the trees and have one main line and have one central collection point. And we'll have like a 300-gallon holding tank there. And then when the water runs, we'll go out with a Polaris. We've got a 100-gallon tank in the back of it with a transfer pump. And we'll suck that water out of the holding tank and we'll haul it in with the Polaris. We'll bring it here to the camp. We use that transfer pump to pump it into our holding tanks. We'll run it. We have a reverse osmosis machine, which takes 50 to 60% of the water content away so that we don't have to boil away in the evaporator.
Okay.
The sweet water is pumped up into an overhead tank and it's gravity fed into our evaporator. And that's where we start
Right here
cooking.
behind us.
Right here behind us, start boiling the water away from the sugar.
Now, when you talk about the plastic tubing, you still have to drill a hole in the tree,
Yes.
put the spile in there,
Yes.
and give the tubing then connects to it.
Right.
Now, do you let the just drip out of there, or is there like a suction to pull the sap out of the tree?
No, we let gravity do the work.
Okay, okay. So it's just going to keep dripping, 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 but instead of having to go around from tree to tree to tree and get the buckets, you've
Right.
got one central collection
Right.
point. So now do you have like tubing stretched all through the woods?
Yes.
Okay. How many
Yes.
feet of tubing do you have?
I have no idea.
There's probably a bunch of
A
them.
bunch of it, yes.
How many trees do you tap a year?
I think we got around 800 trees.
Okay.
Gives us about 1,000 taps.
Okay. So you can put multiple taps on the same
Yes.
tree?
Yes.
Okay. And do you tap the same tree every year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We leave the tubing up year round too.
And then, once it gets inside, how long does it take to make a batch?
We can turn the evaporator on, and within 2.5 hours, we can draw syrup off. And then it's a continual process after that
Okay.
until
So
we
you
run
just
out of
keep-
water.
You keep pouring sap in.
Yes. Yes.
Do you call it sap at that point, or is it sugar water? Or sweet water?
We call it sugar water.
Sugar water,
Yeah.
okay. Because you're only talking, it's what, 98% water and 2% sugar? That's a lot of water you got to burn off.
Yep.
Thus the evaporator.
Right.
Now, I understand when you add heat, you've got the evaporation process. So, when you see a sugar can, you see all that, what you think is smoke. But it's usually steam,
Steam,
isn't it?
yes.
Yeah, it's steam. Now, what's our source of fuel?
Fuel oil.
It is fuel oil.
Yes.
Okay. So the only thing we're seeing is steam then.
Right.
You don't have flames from
No.
a wood fire. You're not having to chop wood
No.
to stoke the furnace and
Right.
all that extra work
Right.
that you'd have to have. Now, when you're all done and you've boiled off the water and you've run through the screening reverse osmosis process, what's the final product?
It's maple syrup.
100%
Yes.
pure maple syrup,
Yes.
which is great to pour onto pancakes and waffles and
Ice cream,
ice cream. And what else do you do with it?
biscuits, toast, whatever.
What about cookies?
Yeah.
Maple flavored
Yep.
cookies, and
Yep.
there's a whole bar. What do you do? How many gallons of maple syrup? Let's back up. How many gallons of sap do you have to collect to make a gallon? And then how many gallons of maple syrup are you making each year?
Right now we're running between 50 to 55 gallons of water to 1 gallon of syrup.
That's a lot.
Yep.
That's all those buckets. Well, you don't have the buckets.
Right.
It's all the tubing coming into that collection point.
Right.
55 gallons to get 1 gallon of syrup.
Right.
And how many gallons of syrup do you make?
Between 130, 150 gallons of syrup a year.
That's quite a bit. Now, is that an average, or is that?
Yeah, that's about average.
Is this a good year, do you think?
We'll be right on average. Should end up right around 150 gallons.
And we had a drought last year in Indiana. Did that affect sap production this spring?
Not that we can tell, no.
And you're tapping just sugar maple,
Yes, the hard maples.
the hard maples.
Yep.
Are there other hard maples?
No,
I mean, that's the one you're after.
right.
Okay. Because silver maple is not one that you would really want to draw
No.
from. It's
No.
all the sugar maple.
Right.
How appropriately named is that for sugar maple for maple syrup? Sweetness, right?
Right.
Now, we don't know for sure how many feet of tubing are out there, but you've got all these tubes coming into trunk lines.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of those do you have coming into, do you have like just one collection point or multiple ones?
No, we got about a dozen different collection points.
So you still have to go out, like you said, in the Polaris
Right.
and empty that
Oh, yeah.
and bring that into here.
But one guy can do that versus 5 or 6 guys gathering buckets.
Now, is this an income producer for
an income that you rely on for the family, or is this kind of a family heritage thing that you kind of, everybody gets together to do more for fun?
It's just a family hobby that's been carried on.
Okay. And how long has the Williams and Teague Sugar Camp been in operation?
Since the mid-50s.
Okay, so we're talking over 60 years then.
Yeah.
So I say, well, Todd, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed learning a little bit more about the modern equipment and technology involved with making maple syrup. Now, while we were in the area, we were not only visiting with the sugar camps, but we had a chance to stop in at the Parke County annual Maple Syrup Festival. And this is their 50th anniversary. This is a chance for people from all over the region and the country to get together for a good pancake breakfast and some 100% pure maple syrup. Now, the festival also attracts a lot of artisans who brought with them their crafts and their paintings, and a lot of neat people were there, and we made some new friends. Let's go visit with some of those right now. Well, tell me what you've got there.
Well, we've got the adult pancake meals, actually. Waited a whole year for this. Third year to come back. Enjoy this place. We drive all the way from Whiteland, Indiana, which is a pretty good, at least 100-mile journey.
So you drive about 100 miles for pancakes.
100 miles for pancakes.
Now, it's got to be more than the pancakes.
It's the whole experience. It's being able to get out after a long winter, go exploring the sugar camps, and spring's almost upon us.
Makes a nice break to get away from cabin fever.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. Couldn't have a better day. The sun came out. It's been cloudy all week. It's just an awesome experience. We look forward to the Maple Syrup Festival all year long. We've got syrup for us. We've got syrup for my mother. We've got syrup for my friends that we're going to take back with us. So, yeah, it's a great day.
Great. Well, enjoy your breakfast.
Thank you.
Well, I do paintings. It has to be covered bridges or barns, landscape paintings, and I love them because this is where I grew up and that's what I've seen my whole life. The Maple Fair this is our 50th year, and I've been here many of them with paintings, but also I work with the organization that sponsors this, so I kind of have double duty here. But I love to see the people that come out. A lot of people come back year after year, so you see old friends, and that's the fun part of it.
We are Compass Rose Leather and Art.
And what all do you do?
We carve leather. A lot depends on what you want. Here on the table we have what we call SAS rigs, Single Action Shooting Society. We have some concealment holsters. What I'm working on now is a flap for a pummel bag. This is a swivel knife, and it's held in your fingers, and you tip the knife to cut. So what I did was I took, this is called tracing film, and I traced a pattern. I set it down on the damp leather. I traced it again. Now I take the knife, set it on the tracing, tip it, and actually cut the leather.
Right now I have just started designing these shawls. This is totally made of buckskin. The edges are crocheted, concho buckles on it. The picture is wood burn on first and then dyed with tattoo ink because that makes it stretchy. It doesn't crack when people wear it. I also do the vests, and the picture is wood burn on. This happens to be buffalo and buckskin.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Indiana Outdoor Adventures.
Hi, Jim Donlin here from Westside Bait and Tackle in downtown Indianapolis. We are one of the oldest and best stocked bait shops in Indiana. Since 1951, we've offered a large selection of live baits, including minnows, night crawlers, bee moth, and more, all at a low, low price. We have a complete selection of name brand rods, reels, lures, and tackle. We also have a full-service rod and reel repair center, so stop on in and see us soon.
For more information, go to www.westsidebaitshop.com. After serving our country, serious injury shouldn't prevent our veterans from enjoying life. Paralyzed Veterans of America works with veterans to ensure that their health care and benefit needs are met, provides assistance with career needs, and offers challenging and rewarding activities. The Kentucky and Indiana chapter of PVA is also proud to provide adaptive sports and activities for its members. Paralyzed Veterans of America depends on the public's generosity to support its programs. Make your donation today and help give back to our nation's paralyzed heroes. The Old Goat Trading Post in Bloomingdale, Indiana offers not only traditional fur hides, hats, and mountain man-like apparel, but beautifully crafted spirit hides. Artistically sculpted from elk, moose, deer, and buffalo hides, they are the perfect wall hanging for your home or vacation cabin. The shaved hair sculpture and original painted scenes combine to create a natural canvas and work of art. Visit www.oldgoattrading.com for more information. Looking for adventure? Moringo Cave has it all. Explore the underground wonders of Moringo Cave with our 2 easy walking tours, or go on an adventurous cave exploring trip with hard hats and lots of mud. Kids will love discovering gemstones at the Cave Springs Mining Flume. This U.S. National Natural Landmark has been open to the public since 1883 and provides breathtaking views of underground cave formations. Visit us online at moringocave.com and plan your visit today.
We're here today with Jim Meese of the Sweetwater Farm at his sugar camp. And we're making maple syrup.
Yes, we are.
From the sugar maple trees.
Yes, we are.
Now, the whole process is kind of ingenious, and it goes back to pioneer days.
And before, Indians did it.
And before, and you've kind of kept a lot of those traditions alive. Tell me just a little bit about how you tap a maple tree and how you collect the syrup and what kind of season we've got. How do we get the product into the sugar shack?
I can tell you.
Okay.
All right. We start off with a tap. Now we use a electric. It used to be brace and bit, you know, the brace and bit thing. We use a little gas powered drill now. It's a little easier, but you still got to shove it in the hole and get it back out. So we're going to drill in about 1 3/4 with that 7/16 inch bit.
Okay.
And then after we do that, we're going to take one of these little metal things. It's called a spile. It's a little metal spout, and the whole purpose of this is to make it drip away from the tree instead of run down the side of the tree. So we're going to have that hole. We're going to tap it in that hole. Now it's dripping off out here.
Sure.
On that you can hang a bucket or whatever you want. Now we use bags. They're cleaner, lighter. So we'll take a little bag hanger, a little metal contraption, hang it over the tree, and just hold it in the tree, and it's going to collect all those drips.
So instead of a big wooden bucket or a metal bucket, you've got a syrup bag or a sugar bag.
Yep. And the idea of being blue is it keeps the ultraviolet light through, so it keeps the bacteria growth down. So it keeps it a little bit cleaner as well.
Okay.
Then we go around every time we get a run, and a run is just when it gets warm, and then it gets freezing, then it gets warmer, and then freeze and warm. Every time it freezes and then warms up, once you drill that hole in that tree, it's going to squeeze a little water out, and that's what we're collecting. So we need that freeze and thaw cycle. So then we go around with a little tractor and wagon. We go to every one of those 1,600 bags that we have.
Now you've got 1,600 bags on how many sugar maple trees?
Oh, probably eight or 900 probably. Yeah, we probably average 2 per tree. You want to tap as soon as they're 11 inches in diameter.
Okay.
But we've got some that are huge, have 4 or 5 taps in them, so it just depends on the size.
And how many acres do you have here?
Oh, on the wood size, probably 25 acres or so back here that we use.
Okay.
Roads that run through the woods. We've been here for 60 years now, so the roads are pretty well established where we're going.
So you're using the same trees year after year?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Every year we'll get 1 or 2 new ones come online for the first time, but we'll have 1 or 2 go down in a storm or die or whatever, so it's pretty good self-propagating storm. Works, woods goes real well. Okay, so then we go around every one of those bags and we dump it into a wagon behind the tractor.
Okay.
Bring that tractor and wagon up to the storage tanks up on the hill, dump them into that, and then we just gravity feed, and that's what this line right here is, just gravity feeding that sugar water into this tank. And all the purpose here, nothing's changed over these hundreds of years of making this, make the water go away and leave the sugar in the pans. That's what we're trying to do.
Because the sap that's coming out of the tree is mostly water.
Yes, it is. In the old days now, it was one big open pan, or at least maybe a couple pans together, and you would siphon water from one to the other. That way you would fill up one batch of with water, you cook the whole batch down, get the syrup off, and then start again. Or it might have had a little bit of a grate to it where the syrup, the thicker stuff would settle at one end and you draw syrup off there. That's all changed. This type of pan now works with a continuous system in that there's always sugar water coming in here, but it's bound up in little troughs. So imagine this trough here being about a foot wide or so, 40 feet long. Sugar water is coming in from the trees on one end. The other 40 feet has a fire under it, boiling away all that water. And at the far end is where the syrup's been cooking the longest. That's where you're drawing it off. Well, same thing here. only they've taken that 40-foot long trough and they've laid it side by side. And the way they do that is the dividers have a hole at one end of the divider or the other, and so it's pushed down, it goes through that hole, down, all the way to the other pan, through that hole. Then it goes all the way around the back side and does the same thing down here over the other pan till it works its way back into here and comes back to the finishing spot right here. I have these pans divided with the plug between the two so it can't mix back. So it starts here, makes the whole big circle through the little maze, and ends up right here. This is where it's been cooking the longest. So what we use is a hydrometer. It's just a weighted tube, graduated scale, it's measuring specific gravity. So what I'll do is I'll take this syrup that's getting close to being done, and I'll fill that tube with the hot syrup, and you can see it's making it float.
You're checking the density.
I'm checking the density, and once it gets dense enough to make it float high enough, and that would be a 66% sugar solution, at the end of the season then, after the trees quit giving us sugar water, if that freezing and thawing stops or the trees heal up, we just pull the spiles back out. These marks show all the old spile marks over the last 50 years. This hole here is just an empty hole where that spile, that drill went in, drilled that hole. We had the spile in the hole and water came into it. We pulled that out. Now it's going to heal up on its own. What's interesting about this is this shows all the old spile marks for the last 50 years. The first time this tree was tapped was right here, so that tree was just that big, about 11 inches. Since that time, it's been tapped for the last 50 years, and all these marks show all the places where it's scarred up and where that spile was in those days. So you pull it out, heals up on its own, goes right on. On this spot here, you'll see a mark on the edge where it's kind of healed up. One more year, that'd be completely covered in bark. You would never know where that hole was. So the next year we come back to tap, we'll tap, a couple inches either away from it or above it or below it, so a different place every year. Same tree, but just different place.
Now, how long have you been here running the camp or involved with it?
Altogether?
Yeah.
I've been here since 1957, so I've been here 56 years. My stepdad, his family ran it before. In fact, the woods turned into a maple woods during the 30s. It had the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps came. Farmers could hire them to do work, and they cleaned out the non-maple species in order to create that maple stand. It's called a sugar bush or a maple stand, and that was the purpose, and it's what he wanted to make here, and so it worked out well. They first tapped here in the early 40s, about 41 or 42. The building here was built the year I was born in 1949, and nothing's changed on it. It's the same as it was 63 years ago.
You're doing something right, because I know some of the places they've had fires to deal with over the years,
right.
and fuel oil obviously reduces that risk of the open flame.
Right. And fuel oil works better also because it's a constant heat. So you get better, with the wood you get a hot fire, colder fire. Every time you open the door, the oil comes down. And like we said a while ago, what gives the syrup its color is how long it's been on the heat. So if you let that syrup cool off a little bit, then you got to heat it again and cool off and heat it again. It's going to get darker and darker. So this makes a real good, consistent syrup, as light as it can possibly be as it comes through, because it's coming through as quickly as it can.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time right here on Indiana Outdoor Adventures.